was born in 1928, and I am 71 years old, 91 years old right now. Tell everybody, 91 years old, and it already started when I was 5 or 6 years old. 5 or 6 years old, when they destroyed our house, when they burned down our house, which my great grandparents originally enjoyed living in and built it. And of course, in 1930, Hitler came to power on January the 30th of 1933, but in 1934 they already burned our house, and we were homeless because fortunately my father had he was one of 7 siblings, and of course my aunts and uncles gave us shelter, and naturally, where should we go? Where would we go? At that time, everything was very primitive. You couldn't go to the airport, or you couldn't do anything like that. So, what the final happened was that we enjoyed a new house that was built by relatives, with relatives and friends and so forth, and so we lived there actually until 1938, when the house was taken away from us by the government, by Nazis, and we were no longer able to enjoy the luxury of our own house. And as a matter of fact, we had to move to another city called Fulda. The place where I was born was a village. It was Schenklingsfeld, and this is where my family originally came from. There were always a number of Jewish people living in all these little villages, and life was enjoyed. Fulda was, yes, because the other part, our villages, they were already, they called it, well, actually, cleansed of Jews. There were no more Jews living in those villages, where people had been living for many, many years, you see, and it was cleansed of Jews. But so they moved to Frankfurt, they moved to Fulda. Some of the people could really afford the luxury of emigrating to America, or because maybe they had relatives who would sponsor them, and even Palestine at the time. But for us, there was, even though my 2 oldest siblings were lucky because they were already in the early 20s, and they were sponsored by groups of young, youth groups, I should say, to Palestine at the time, a brother and a sister, see. But the rest of my siblings had to stay, until later on. Another sister who is still alive today, and she's 99 years old, and she lives in California, but and she was able to be sponsored by somebody here in the United States and came to America. But for 5 of us, naturally, my parents had twin boys who were were 9 years old in 1941, and of course they with my parents were the victims of the crematorium, in Auschwitz. They were burned. They were killed. And of course they were burned. Also, what really happened in Auschwitz, what happened in Majdanek, where they gassed and of course people were burned. Their lives were destroyed in fire. At first they were gassed and then they were burned. 1.4 million children. There were a total of 6 million people, Jewish people, were killed in the concentration camps. And actually 11 million people were killed, but 6 million Jewish people were killed because of hate. People hate. And why do they hate? Because gossip, because of anything, but they don't realize what hate really means, and hate hurts. My one sister, who was already here, and she came, and she, as I said, she emigrated. She married in the meantime, and she was able to sponsor us, a sister and myself, and who were left, So as far as being accepted in this country, definitely this is still the greatest country in the world, and a lot of people don't realize that it is, because we have so much freedom, we have so much that anybody can enjoy life to the fullest extent, and therefore we are very, very lucky people, not just as Jews, but as people, and we have to live together as human beings, like they live here and enjoy life as good citizens of Grand Rapids, good citizens of Holland, good citizens of the Polish people and Dutch people, and this is really that means a lot, and we are very lucky, yes, and we are very, very lucky to have that enjoyment as human beings. So that's what it is. Live, and you have to enjoy life, and the lessons are love and enjoyment. See, hate hurts, but love heals. And that is the main lesson that I would say, because people should enjoy life and realize how to live together as human beings, and no matter what religion or people don't believe in religion, it means people should enjoy life and love thy neighbor as you love yourself.